let's start with the card, the prelims. Who was the first fight? We had
Was it DTG?
DTG. Yeah, he was impressive, wasn't he?
Very impressive, man. Good improvements. Good
A lot,
improvements.
a lot of improvements. And Miles Rexu for his first fight, and I know the feeling he just froze up a little bit, and but yeah, he had a hell of a reach advantage, but it
Yeah.
didn't play out for him. What do you guys think is next for DTG?
I would like to see him start to lose some weight and try and get down to the cruiserweight.
I was about to say the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah, just yeah.
I'm curious to see where he goes, because I think that I'm with Leon there, where he's a bit small for heavyweight, but he's talented, that's for sure.
That would be interesting. That opens up the field for him. Lots of opponents.
So our cruiserweight limit is 190, I think, and then we've got 205. So he was like 207. He was very close to the bridgerweight limit anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah. He should be yeah. Go down to bridgerweight and then slowly work his way down.
Slowly,
because he'll start to feel better in himself anyway.
Yeah. That's
yeah,
true.
Bridgerweight for the next fight, definitely.
Yeah, and then we had Joey Knight against Most Wanted, Slick.
Yeah, Slick. He's looking good. Look good. He's done well.
He's asking for Dean already. Do you think that's premature?
Premature.
Maybe
towards the end of it. Yeah.
He needs one more. He definitely needs one more before we can give him Dean.
Yeah,
but I mean, he didn't take any damage. He can fight again in 1 second if he wants to, right? And he seemed very, very efficient. So if I'm him, I'm fighting like soon, like if he can.
Yeah.
Very, very polished. Very, very clean. Everything he did. I didn't see anything sloppy with Joey Knight.
Yeah, exactly. And team, going on a segue, we'll go back to the main card. Not the most popular decision having you on. How do you feel about the fans' reaction?
Oh, I think it's awesome. It just goes to show, that, the fan base has one idea, and we need to reach out to more people, and we need to have other ideas in the mix.
Yeah, 100%. I think we needed to shake things up a little bit. And even in our group chat, we've had opposing opinions already. So it's a good start. We need that.
It's good. That's what it's all about. Like I was saying, when people were obviously saying what they were saying, and I was just like, man, it's good. I love, like, the more hard-headed people in this group, the better, because the thing that makes the small council work is that we're all like, we have double skull, right? So it's like we're all super hard-headed, and that allows us to have a lot more honest debates and a lot more just genuine thought processes that happen. And I think that's what helps create like such good events. I mean, this event was crazy, right? And like stuff like that comes from everyone being able to be adding their opinion. I mean, Keem, one thing you do is add your opinion, that's for sure, right? So it's like, they can't take that away from you.
Well, this event was amazing, absolutely amazing. 9 fights, 7 knockouts, right? But it's not just those 3 or 4 rounds, right? It is the month leading up to the fight where we had nothing for this card, right? So we had absolutely nothing to talk about. We had nothing to get excited about. There were no storylines. There was nothing that hit mainstream of like, oh my God, this is going on. And then we have this event, which is just absolutely amazing. Imagine if there was a big lead up going into this, the difference. It would be amazing.
It's been confirmed that this has the most viewership of a non-pay-per-view event that we've had, which is phenomenal.
And that's really good.
Yeah. So yes, it could have been improved vastly, 100%. But a lot of that was out of our hands as well, with the switch up and changes and things like that. So that happens. But then, about a week before fight week, or 2 weeks before, whatever it was, things did start hotting up. There was a lot of coverage of us using a new commission, the PBA,
true,
and going crazy. And then
we lost HS, right?
What's that?
We lost HS, which was like a big blow.
Well, HS is going on to, he was being saved for something bigger, which does, I can't argue with the rationale. It makes sense. So it is what it is. We had, let's see, what kicked off the card? It was Chase and Minicon. Chase's redemption.
What a great start to the card. Like, that set the tone. That was absolutely amazing. We're seeing Chase get his first W. What happened with Minicon?
Minicon seems to have, I don't know, like he was really, really confident that he would win this fight. And Chase never says no. Or as you guys know, he said yes to Alan Belcher without hesitating. But he did call me and say, like, I'm gonna take this fight. I want to do this. But I think I felt like he was nervous for a minute as well. But he overcame that and just performed. He's gotten better and better. I still think he's got a lot of room for improvement. But Minicon, Leon, I saw you and Vidal's video. I do agree. It feels like Minicon had potential on his second fight.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of gone backwards. So I don't know what's going on with that.
I think there's a lot of sorry, Leon, you go.
Jordy's trying to jump on.
Yeah. He just DM'd.
Oh yeah, let's Amir, let Jordy on, please.
But yeah, I was just saying, I think that with Minicon, it seems like he just doesn't have the same aggression when he's in the ring, right? And I don't know if that's like trying to conserve energy, trying to conserve cardio, but I mean, he was literally getting ragdolled around the ring by Chase. I mean, just not even necessarily in boxing ability, but just physically like thrown around the ring. And I don't think it's because he's, I don't think Chase is like way stronger than Minicon in any way. I think that just his body language was like he'd kind of get shocked and he'd be like, all right, whatever, and just fall on the ground. And it was just weird. Like it seems like that mentality continues out throughout the course of his fights. And in the last fight, it was there for the taking. I mean, Arms was like literally he was on life support, right? In the last round. And he just let him do his thing. He was just like, all right, whatever, like that's fine. It was like go for the finish, like a 6-punch combination, and it's over. Like he's just falling down, he's not getting back up. Like we saw that. So it was wild that it was like on a silver platter for him and he didn't take it, because I think that maybe he's conditioned himself, so much to be like, all right, I got to make sure to maintain this cardio and stay relaxed and stay calm in there, that he just can't turn it on because he's tried for so long to make sure to stay calm, cool, and collected. And then it's just like too calm, cool, and collected. He just doesn't, I don't know. He just doesn't deliver right at the end. He's like standing at the end of your driveway with the Amazon package. He just doesn't come in. He just like stays there. It's weird.
I got a question for the room. Was Chase throwing Minicon on the ground, or was Minicon falling over?
A bit of both.
It was a bit of both for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit of both.
I think his balance, I don't know how, how, Leon, you'll know what I mean. Like, how some people are muscular.
That's sturdy, yeah.
Grab them, they just move easy.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Is he just, or was it his balance or what?
It's weird. I don't understand what was going on. I don't understand it. I just don't understand. He didn't have no fight in him.
Yeah, he didn't see.
There was no resistance or nothing in him. It's a weird one.
Chase is a very strong boy, though. Very freakish.
Yeah.
If he gets that kick at the end of his punches and that snap, I think he could be dangerous. Why is he not able to punch properly yet?
I think it's just the learning curve, isn't it? I don't think he's ever been a fighter.
Yeah, it's
so he has to learn the mechanics of fighting. He's an athlete, but he needs to understand the mechanics of fighting.
Yeah,
and how to fight.
Yeah, he needs to learn how to sit down on his punches.
Yeah,
because he still punches with his chin back, right? He's like throwing his punches and he's doing that. All he has to do is just kind of come in a little bit and sit down on that punch, and people are going to sleep 100%.
All right, and then I guess Chase has asked for the rematch with Tempo, which kind of makes sense because that was a close fight in the first place. So someone needs a decisive victory there. And then what was the next fight?
We had Ben Williams versus Batista.
Fez Batista, yeah. I think Fez was more of a challenge for Ben than he anticipated. It was a good fight.
Yeah.
It was a good fight.
I know. I think because that Fez was talking Red Jones, Mayweather, I was expecting a lot more from him. The big entrance at the what was it? The public workout with the Transformers. I was expecting a lot more.
But Ben is electric as well. He's a
Yeah,
star.
he is. Yeah, yeah, he is.
Do you guys know he's got a band? It's like actually doing really well. Label called me and asked if we want to do something with it.
Who,
And
Ben?
yeah, he's in a
I didn't know.
band.
I didn't know.
The song's it's getting like 80, 90,000 plays a day right now and growing.
Okay.
Yeah. So shout
Ben
out.
Hey.
Ben Williams is a very, very smart kid. I don't know if you caught what he did after they announced he was the winner. He went and verbally said, "I guess they'll never know."
Hello.
And then
Yeah.
he tied that to the Kanye speech. Amazing piece of content. Entertainment
Smart. Very
wise,
smart.
what he did and what's on Instagram right now, getting millions of views, very, very smart. I suggest everyone goes check that out.
Yeah, that was elite. That was elite content.
Yeah, he's definitely got a future. And also shout out to Fez. He really put out content. He really tried.
He tried.
He was creative and he did what he did what he had to. He's an older fella. He hasn't connected with this new audience fully, but at least A for effort on that for sure.
Sorry for the delay, guys. I'm here.
No problem. We were talking about Joey earlier. Very slick.
Yeah, mate. What do you know what we've called him? The
What's his
smooth
name?
criminal. That's the nickname.
Smooth criminal.
Smooth criminal. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. I'm looking forward to the next entrance. Yeah.
That footwork he did towards the end of the fight, and then I think it was a 1-2.
Yeah,
And
hook
then
cross, yeah.
he turned around. It was like he was thinking it's a walk-off knockout. But hey, shout out to Most Wanted for staying on his feet the whole fight and trying. I think he did better than most of us expected.
You know
Yeah,
what?
he tried,
There was a lot of people who seem to think Joey is a pro boxer. He's only had white collar fights, and they were some 5-6 years ago. And I kind of dragged him into the gym over Misfits, and he was delighted to get the opportunity. And he's the most consistent uploading YouTuber on this card, so no one can say he's just snuck in the back door like some of these pros are trying to now, uploading 2 YouTube videos with a 20 pro and amateur career, trying to fight on Misfits. He's a legit like YouTuber who just happens to love boxing, and I like to give him credit for one thing. We've seen some cool knockouts, but we've never seen moves like that from an influencer before. And I think I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets the reaction from the crowd when he's higher up on the card, because people love that, a little bit of trickery and stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, for sure. No, he was impressive, and we were just talking about maybe another fight, and then maybe he'll challenge Dean. We'll see what happens.
They were talking quite a lot, these two.
What were they talking about?
Yeah.
Well, Joey goes up to him. He's like, "I want to fight you," because he'd had what we call mega pints by this point. So he's like, "I'm just going to have a chat with him, see how it goes." And Dean was cool. Like I respect Dean by the way he carried himself throughout. He said, "Yeah, like you're a good fighter," but I think Dean in his head he's got his eyes set on the biggest prizes. And I look, take your money whenever you can get it. I get that, but equally, Dean still has quite a lot to prove. You've had a couple of Misfits fights, and people are really impressed with you. But you've still got a division to clear out, and that division's getting more exciting. So I hope we see him defend the title a few more times before he goes off to challenge the rest of the world.
Yeah, makes sense.
Sure.
Makes sense. All right, moving on to my personal highlight of the night, which was Fox the G. I mean, that was probably the cleanest knockout we've had on Misfits thus far.
Scary good, super entertaining. Oh my God. I mean, the greatest thing about Fox the G is he was raised by Misfit Boxing, right? Misfit Boxing won the very first event, right? He comes on, does his little announcer thing. Then he goes on to do a video series, like doing news and updates, got brought on to Misfits, got brought on to Happy Punch. He's played so many different roles. He was in corners of different fighters. And this is his first fight. To be here from the very beginning and watch this, that was a moment. Like, that is how it's done. Wow.
Yeah, and I knew he was a threat, but I didn't know he was that good. He's been working hard. He's very dedicated, and I think he's got a bright future as well.
And
Yeah,
it takes
definitely
two
got a
to
bracket
tango.
shot.
Like both guys, full steam ahead. No one worrying about their records. Like just going for the kill. And you don't see a lot of that in pro boxing cards. Sometimes everyone's trying to protect themselves. And credit to Small Spot and Jay because he is undersized, and there was a bit of a size advantage there for Fox. But bloody hell, Fox can hit at that weight class for sure.
Yeah, he definitely can. And that's the thing. Unfortunately, that is the lightest weight class we have.
Mm-hmm.
And when he first came to me and said he wanted to box, he was about 117. And I said, I can't put you in there with a 135er. You need to, I think there's a rule where it has to be a 10-pound discrepancy at most, or a 9-pound discrepancy. So he made that happen and he's bulked up, but we don't have the demand for a lighter division right now, So
Yeah.
it was the same with the UFC early on as well. Remember before
Yep.
Mighty Man? So it takes time, but let's see if there's any influences on the smaller side. I was genuinely concerned for Spartan. I messaged him throughout the night, spoke to him for the next few days. Even today, he messaged me, and he's like, "I'm ready to go." I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
no. You need
He's too hard for his own good.
Yeah, no, you need at least a 3-4 month suspension, I think, before you can even get back." And I said to him, do not spar with anyone for a good long while. Just take your time, because that's how people get hurt. So hopefully he'll take that advice.
Well, that's the thing is, sorry, man. But if he takes 3 months off, he'll recover. But if he goes back in there and gets a secondary, tertiary concussion, that's when you get issues. I mean, we see it all the time, and it's mostly with boxers getting back into sparring too quickly, because if you take your time and you let your brain recover, it recovers just fine. But if you don't, then you start to have issues.
But that is also the coach's responsibility. So I
100%.
hope that the know better to put him, all right, next week you're sparring again, So maybe I'll reach out to them just to make sure. I'm sure they know what they're, what they're doing, but just to make sure. But speaking of knockouts, I mean, Tristan Ham against not Logan Paul. Vicious, very vicious knockout. And
very vicious.
Everyone was like, did I get knockout of the night? Like, everyone came up and said, did I get knockout of the night? I'm like, on any given night, all of your knockouts would have been knockout of the night, except for Fox the G. I think it was the right decision to give it to him, though, even though Tristan's wasn't too far behind.
Fox the G was knockout of the night, no question.
Yeah,
you're right. Like any other night,
Fox the G won. Yeah.
Yeah, any other night, I would agree, but that Tristan Ham probably could have got that. But Fox the G took that kid's that. He was out. I was watching him, I was like, wow.
Spartan was thrown back with fire as well. It was a fire fight.
Yeah.
Whereas not Logan Paul, he's obviously experienced in martial arts, but he's not a striker, and you could see that. So yeah, I think it was the right call.
Yeah, he was definitely, I thought he did well for the first first 15, 20 seconds. He came out swinging, didn't he?
Yeah. He landed a good shot.
Yeah, he did. He's had boxing matches, I think 2 or 3, and he's had 6 MMA fights. Okay, granted, he's 0-6 in MMA, but still, he's
a wild man, him He was in the bar later that night, and he was just the most happiest man in the room. I've never seen someone that happy. Even after he got knocked out, he got back up and he just gave his hand to the audience, yeah! It was just wild.
I want to see a not Logan Paul versus an Ice Poseidon or a Brandon Buckingham or something like that. That would be a real fun fight to watch.
I saw it going viral. Not Logan Paul against not KSI, and then
I would love that.
Yeah, that could be fun.
It's a funny one.
All right, so what's
sponsored
next?
by Not Prime.
Yeah, sponsored by Not
Prime.
Yeah,
by Cred. Was it Cred that South Park made? Something like that.
Yeah. What's next for Tristan? That's a tricky one, because BJ and I have been speaking, and BJ's obviously very ambitious for Tristan, and rightly so. I think he's got to just keep moving up the ranks. And imagine he has 4 or 5 fights, 5 knockouts, and he has that kind of power, and he earns his way to a title shot. Then everyone has to fight him, So
yeah.
I think Tristan also could do with working on the other side of it. I know he's obviously an influencer to a degree, famous for the adventure stuff, but the talking side of things, I think he could work on that a little bit and just get a bit more comfortable with that.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's his first time in this kind of situation, but certainly he's conquered his nerves when, hunting bears and riding moose and jumping out of airplanes and in squirrel suits and stuff like that. So he's got, and I saw some content from him yesterday on the farm. There were two ducks.
Oh,
And
yeah, I see that.
did you see that? And
Yeah.
he called one of them Dylan Dennis and the other one HS Tiki Toki. So he's doing his thing. He's learning fast. Another knockout, which this could have been knockout of the night, was Elle Brooke. The new middleweight champion. Great performance. AJ improved a lot as well. She really went for it, so credit to her. But Elle was she's got power, doesn't she?
Powerful girl, that girl.
Yeah, and
scary. It was scary.
I will say too is I think that the new commission there did a pretty good job in that fight. Initially, I was like, I don't know about that. Like when he took the point early, and then when he was like really on their ass about too much clinching and stuff like that, and then he just kind of enacted that hard in the third round, and that was the big difference. Is once Elle actually got a bit of space and started actually getting back to her fundamentals and her boxing, she smoked her. And I think that a lot of the times with people like that is, they have this ability, they've developed this ability, they do it in sparring, and then they're under the bright lights and they just kind of revert back to what they were doing before. And it kind of takes that hard break, that hard reset in their brain to be like, wait a minute, no, I know what I'm doing, and I can do this. And once she did that, she just shut her lights out. I mean, the ref missed one knockdown early too. I think like just clipped the side of her head and dropped her before the finish. I don't know. I haven't been able to see it in slow-mo to see if that was a clean knockdown. I thought it was when we were there. But then when the lights went out, I mean, oh my God, that shot was huge. Huge.
Elle's a beast of an athlete as well. Like when you watch her training, she takes this shit super seriously. Like you can tell she's getting the best training in there with other champions, and I think we're looking at a dominant queen of Misfits for a long time. Fair play to her. She was great.
I was impressed with the post interview. All right, so she didn't miss a beat. Roundhouse asked her about the ref taking the point, and she's like, was anyone watching the Chase fight? They were falling over left and right. She didn't miss a beat. And that's the type of attitude and personality that you need in this space. And that was amazing. That's what
did she get the biggest cheer of the night? I think she probably did. Like in terms of coming out to the ring and the overall audience reaction. Like I know Fox's knockout was a big reaction, but in terms of just for one person, the crowd went wild for her.
Oh yeah, she actually had a lot. On the ticket monitor, she actually had a lot of fans turn up. So she's not. You can't bot that. You can't bot the attendance.
Funny old thing.
Yeah. She didn't have a bead of sweat on her either. She was ready to go. Like we had a couple minutes there in between before the interview portion where I was just kind of standing there with her, and she was like bouncing back and forth, like just wired. And I was like, wow, man, like you just had a fight and you look like you could go another 5 rounds. So definitely the fitness was there. Like you guys said, I mean, I think the fan base was there. I will say too, and we haven't really touched on it, but I mean, the fans that showed up, like that was wild. The place was full after like the second prelim fight, and the vibe was there, the energy was there with everyone in the arena. So that was one of the best turnouts we've seen, especially for non-pay-per-view card. I mean, it was awesome. It was such a cool atmosphere. It's weird. Like it feels like online we weren't trending as much as we usually are beforehand, but then night of, like you're saying, Mams, like it was just there. It seems like I feel like there's a growing core audience base that doesn't even need to like speak out as much anymore in these lead ups, that are just coming and they're just being loyal, and they're like, no, I don't need to be talking about it online because I'm going anyways. They just know what's coming up.
Sometimes Twitter is a misrepresentation of what the mood is, Keem, in real life you're much more popular.
Oh yeah. On Twitter I'm hated.
I think Twitter, that goes for every one of us.
Yeah. No, the Twitter gives access to the vocal minority, but they are the minority, right? They don't represent most of the people. And
no, but they can convince others that that's what's going on as well.
Yeah, true.
I'm imagining
the elections.
I'm just thinking like boxing old heads that have, you know, tweeted against Misfits the whole time, just sitting in their living room, just like quietly turning it on and watching it to make sure that they're there. You know what I mean? Because they actually want to see knockouts, right? And they're just tired of their normal boxing cards showing them nothing, and then quietly turning it on while tweeting that it's awful. I imagine there's a huge portion of people doing that.
Oh, this is rubbish. Yep, turn it up. Oh, terrible, terrible.
Volume up. Yeah,
Hate this.
Yeah.
tuning into every card.
No, I'm not kidding, right? So I had this job. I think I was in my teens, and I was like a busboy in this cafe, and this old lady would come for lunch every single day, 4 or 5 days a week at least, and she'd complain about everything.
Yeah.
This food is shocking, blah blah blah. The service. Next day she's back, start complaining again. Next day I just, you know, I don't know what that mentality is about, but we have it on Misfits as well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
What's the next fight?
Next fight, well, I actually skipped through this, but controversial to some, Ashley Raksu versus OJ Rose.
Come on, I want to go one at a time, right? Because
You first.
Ashley Raksu is really not happy with the scoring, right? I'll be honest, I thought a draw was fair, but if I had to give it to one guy, I would have given it to OJ Rose, to be honest with you. As much as Ashley Raksu off the back foot was throwing that jab out and throwing some nice shots, by the end of the fight, he was holding on, and I thought he was slowly but surely drowning. And if that fight had gone on for another few rounds, I think it would have been even harder and harder. So I think he was a bit. I understand every fighter wants to like count every punch, but it wasn't a robbery. You know what I mean? Like to say he got robbed from a draw, I think is a bit much.
Well, he thinks he got robbed from a win. I couldn't see that. I have not watched it back, but watching it there, I thought OJ edged it as well.
I believe that OJ slightly edged it, but it's ways.
Yeah.
One of my OGs told me a long time ago, about 12 years ago. He said to me, Leon, a dolphin can never be a shark. Ratsu tried to be a dolphin in that fight when he's a shark. Like, he's meant to be scary. He's got a predator hair, missing tooth. He's meant to be rough and rugged. He's not meant to be taking back steps like that. Let a smaller guy from like 2 weight classes below move to him. That should never be the case. He's meant to be Clubber Lang Su.
Yeah.
Like, people should be feeling his power and his presence.
He's another one that maybe hasn't improved as much as he's kind of saturated, you know?
The jab was good. The jab was good. Moving on the outside was good, but he needs to do that when he's resting. He needs to do that when he's resting.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Not like through the whole magnitude of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he needs to switch something up, you know? It felt like he was missing killer instinct in that fight. And also, look, he didn't finish Halal Ham. He's more than capable of finishing Halal Ham. He's more than capable of winning the fight he was just in. And that's no diss to OJ Rose. He's not a walk in the park. He's a tough kid. He's like the Terminator. He just keeps
OJ's tough. OJ's tough.
You know? So what's next for those guys? Would you guys like to see a rematch there?
I would like OJ to go down.
Yeah.
It'll be better. It'll be better at the lower weight class. That weight class is not really for him. He can do well in it, but he ain't gonna be the best in it.
Yeah.
We gotta get Ashley. We gotta get Ashley to fight a real trash talker, someone that can really get under Ashley's skin. I'm so sick of the nice guy act. Just like what Leon said, we need to bring out the killer instinct in Ashley. We need someone verbally bullying him so we can see a different outcome in that ring.
Do we think
his mentality before the fight was weird when he was saying, like, I want to fight the guy who knocks me out? And like, even that was back to front. And then when you're the big man and you're fighting like the little man, the whole thing, like the whole strategy was wrong for me. And I think I understand Ashley's frustration, but going back to what my guy said there is like, you have to fight to your strengths, and he wasn't doing that. So that's one thing he definitely needs to fix.
Do you guys think he was too light for this fight as well? Do you think what weight category should Ashley be in? Would him and Tristan Ham at 175, 180 be a good fight?
That's a better fight. I think I don't really understand how understand how Raksu's making the weight he's making. Like when I see him in person, I'm like, that guy's enormous. You know, when we talk about like Saul Poppy and everything, it's like it's one thing, but yeah. But I mean, when you see him, he's jacked. Like he's absolutely jacked. And so it's kind of wild to me that he's able to make the weight he's able to make. And it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. I don't know why he's fighting the way he's fighting. I agree with all you guys. I thought that a draw was fair, but if I was going to give it to anyone, I would give it to OJ Rose. And something that does bother me, and I hate to do it, but I've done it myself, is, you know, when we rewatch fights back and we can analyze them in slow motion and count all the punches landed, that's one thing. And maybe you are right. Maybe you are right in that regard. You won that fight, but that's not how fights are scored. These guys are watching it ringside. They're taking notes. They're trying to score it as best as they can to see what's going on. And when someone has ring generalship the whole fight and brings it to you the whole fight, if you're sneaking shots in here and there, that's great. That's great. And I think that people with a very educated eye might be able to read those. And you would hope that judges are, but sometimes they can't, man. And sometimes they don't see it. Sometimes the reality is like you guys are saying, you got to be the big dog. You got to push them around. You got to make it look like your fight. And that's always going to sway. If a punch is, if it's 20 punches to 22 punches, but you were on the back foot the whole time, sorry, 9 times out of 10, you're losing that round. So I thought a draw was perfectly fair. If anything, I thought OJ could have won. I will say, I mean, I don't know why OJ doesn't bring it out of his opponents a bit more, because he's such a dog in the ring. And then he's like super polite everywhere else and like not super outspoken. So when I was in the post fight, I wanted them both to be like, yo, let's do it again. And they wanted to do a tag team. And it was weird. I don't know. I just thought I was weird. I was like, just what is that? But
it killed the
again,
energy.
like yeah, it did. It totally sucked it out of the room. And it is what it is. But I think that there's a lot more that those two can do, because I think they're both like huge stars in the Misfit sphere, and they just haven't broken out yet. They just haven't like taken full advantage of it yet.
You know what I find? I find like everyone, well, majority of fighters in the scene are seeing each other like work colleagues instead of ops. It's too family cliquish. It's not fighting. There needs to be some vim. There needs to be some animosity. There needs to be tension in the air. It's not all shaking hands, hugging, and nonsense.
The fan base on Twitter is more competitive and more fighting with each other than the fighters. Like after the post interview with Chase, right? He's sitting there going back and forth with Gary, Tempo's coach. And, you know, they're talking shit, and then they shake at the end. I'm like, why are you shaking? Give him the people's elbow. What is this? You know, like it's just everybody is way too friendly. Yeah.
They are. It's kind of like, you know what though, in the UFC and in, I guess you get some of that there. Certainly in the WWE, I know it's a different thing and it's scripted, but they still put on a show when they need to. How do you separate them from becoming friends? I mean, they make content together, they do stuff together. How are you gonna
I think a lot of this is they're trying to take the pressure off themselves pre-fight, mate. People don't want to have a big old beef where it's real public, real nasty, because it adds pressure to the situation. But pressure makes diamonds, and that's exactly why Logan Paul versus KSI became what it did, because it felt like there was so much at stake. If we don't think that there's that much on the line, then if you aren't giving us a reason to think that there's much on the line, then why should we care that much? Do you know what I mean? And that's where the OJ versus Raksu fight did fall a bit flat. Is like, it was a hell of a competition, but it can be too respectful. Like, even if you have a nudge, wink, wink moment backstage, and then get on stage and go give it big balls to each other, that's fine. Play WWE. But just stop being so friendly. Like, it's doing my fucking head in.
Look at the leaders, to the other fighters and Misfits. Look at the leaders. Look at the top dogs. Do you think Logan Paul and Dylan Dennis are friends? Do you think they're friends now? Do you think they're cool now? Do you think Tommy Fury and KSI are friends now? Like, no, they're not. Like, come on.
Speaking of Tommy Fury, what do we think about the hand injury before the fight? Because he did smash that plexiglass as hard as he could. My theory is that he actually hurt his hand during that incident.
It's true, very likely, yeah. It's true. If anything, it will be that incident.
Yeah, listen, I've never said this. Actually, we've got it documented. JJ had COVID and the worst flu 2 weeks apart from each other during that camp. But he's not, it sounds, why even say it? Like, I'm saying it now because of the Tommy thing, but why even say it? You just show up or you don't, you know? and respect to him for showing up if he had a hand injury or whatever. But it can be one of those injuries that you're fine to fight with, but you'll be better if you correct it as well. I mean, we don't know the extent of it.
Well,
No,
was he born with a hand injury? Because I've never seen him have an impressive fight yet. So
No, I always say there's no fighters alive that show up to fights 100%. There's always something going on. There's always going to be a tear here or a swelling here or whatever it might be. I mean, if you're a professional fighter, if you're a professional athlete in any regard, even if you're an amateur fighter in any regard, amateur athlete in any regard, like your body's beat up. Like, I mean, my body's beat up, right? Like there's a ton of things that just don't work the same anymore, and that just is what it is. So
erectile
to come out
dysfunction is a serious thing, kids.
yeah,
Don't worry about it.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. And that one you can take pills for. But anyways, I'm just playing. But
I don't know where that came from. Sorry.
Yeah, Brian's just out of nowhere.
I can't believe it. Do you know what? I just want to interject. Do you remember Joe Egan, the big man who came to the Misfits event, the older guy?
Yes.
Big man, Joe Egan. He's he's Mike Tyson's sparring partner. He's answered the call from Big John Fury of the greatest 58-year-old man on the planet. And he's like a 7-time Irish champion, fought Lennox Lewis. And he's like, I'll take you on. I've just had him on my podcast today. And he wants to do Big Joe Egan versus John Fury on Misfits. And it looks like Mams is gonna go and make the offer. And hopefully we'll see what Big John Fury's got left.
Yeah.
There's no injuries. Just saying.
Big John might have hurt his hand on that plexiglass as well, I think. So I don't know. And I think he stopped talking about that bet that he actually lost.
Yeah, I remember that. Where it was if Tommy would finish JJ, right, for 200 grand or something.
Well, what does stomped out mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Stomped out means finished him, knocked out, made cold.
Yeah.
Something, not the point where they actually thought they were going to lose and then jumped up and celebrated and won. I'm not dissing them. Listen, it's good to have them on a show when it makes sense. And John Fury is a misfit. You know, he's a senior misfit for sure. So
we need extra security for those press conferences if it happens, like, because yeah.
If anyone knows how to sell a fight, it's John Fury.
Damn right. He's the best press conference guy in the history of the game.
Yeah, he is. I addressed this Slim obviously calling out KSI. I've spoken to JJ about it, and he's like game for he wants to fight, but he's got a couple of massive options, right? And for me, this one I'll take on the chin. I want to protect Slim from potentially getting knocked the hell out. Right, that happens. It doesn't do any favors for JJ to go from, and no disrespect to Slim, but go from Tommy Fury to Slim. It doesn't do him any favors. The Jake Paul fans will be like, "Oh, look, you know, Jake's fighting all these 10-0 pros, and you're fighting Slim." That's what they're gonna say. That's the perception. And for Slim, if he loses that fight in a devastating fashion, it stops his stock from rising. You know, and he's undefeated. I have no problem with that fight if Slim creates an absolute demand, a global demand, because JJ is a global pay-per-view star. So outside of our Misfits universe, who cares about that fight? You know, I know what the numbers did with FaZe Temper, and again, no disrespect to FaZe Temper, in comparison to what the numbers are for KSI versus Tommy, and KSI versus potentially another massive name. So it's got to make sense, you know, and if it's a lose-lose situation, then what's the point of doing it? That's been my mentality, but tell me if you guys think I'm wrong on that.
I think it all depends on perception and perspective. For Slim, it makes sense in his world, but I think he went about it the wrong way. Like he
Too
went
friendly.
it's half-hearted. He didn't really mean what he said. So
I told Slim.
There's a way to get under KSI Slim or draw him out. Slim didn't do that.
Yes, but
because KSI is his boss essentially, so it's a very awkward situation, right?
You're right, but I told Slim, because I don't know if you guys saw, there was footage of Slim saying, "Mams, I don't want KSI pissed off at me or you pissed off." I'm like, bro, there is absolutely nothing that you can do or say that will be pissed off at you for trying to get you the biggest fight you can.
Yeah.
I respect that. You go for it. KSI is not going to be like, yeah, he's not going to be upset with Slim for doing his best to get a big fight. He's not like that, you know? So I told Slim, you have our blessing. Do your promo, go wild. If the demand is created, the fight will happen.
Okay, can I question you on this, Mams? Because I got a few asks there. So let's say there's other people out there who you can't talk about in this conversation who may or may not happen, right? Then you've got Jake Paul, you've got Tommy Fury. Outside of those two names, there's no demand. Like Jake Paul's fighting with no demand right now. No one gives a shit who Jake Paul is fighting. You could announce the guy on the morning of the fight. No one cares. They're happy to watch Jake Paul knock another guy out. That's cool, right?
So to some extent, but the numbers are far lower and the money is much less.
Yeah, I hear that. I'm just suggesting that really, unless it's Jake Paul or Tommy Fury, I don't think anyone is really like they're always just going to be turning up for KSI. And I guess at least one thing I could say in favor for Slim is that KSI fighting someone is always a risk. It can always go wrong. At least if he loses to Slim, for example, just suspend reality, it's feeding back into the ecosystem of Misfits. But I think if KSI's next fight isn't Jake Paul or Tommy Fury, I think Slim's a solid option, or another Misfits guy is a solid option.
Brian, I would say that I think you might be underestimating some fan bases too, because something that makes a lot of the Tyron Woodley fight, the initial one at least, or even the Ben Askren fight, I mean, something that made that big was the MMA audience and the traditional boxing space is still an enormous audience. I mean, if you put KSI in there against a Masvidal or even like a Cowboy Cerrone, that's just pulling a name out of a hat. I think that there's like an enormous audience that would also be able to tune in for that and keep the professional aspect of it. That being said, I mean,
the only reason I didn't include
is...
them, sorry mate, the only reason I haven't included those guys is, as far as I'm aware, Masvidal and Cerrone still under contract. Like I don't know if we could do Masvidal. I think that'd be fucking amazing. I think that would be a hell of a fight. But outside of someone like that, yeah, I mean, maybe.
Those are the kind of options, and we do have a good enough relationship to make those fights happen. Those kinds of fights.
Masvidal would be sick.
Slim doesn't have the ability to sell this fight, but the community does, because the storyline is actually pretty good. All right.
So, look, let's say Slim loses this fight badly. Yeah. I feel like, and I'm not, again, anything can happen, and I realize that. The upside, if Slim wins, this is where I take my personal feelings out of it. Obviously, like I don't see a world where that happens, but let's take that out, and my biases towards KSI out of the picture. Of course, that would be great for the Misfits ecosystem. Now Slim is the guy if he does that, right? But it's far more likely, again, not being biased, it's probably quite a bit more likely that it goes the other way, and that stops the Slim train and the potential fight, the super fight that makes sense for Slim, which would be against the now retired Gib if he decides to come out. When someone says they're retired in any combat sports, I take it with a pinch of salt unless they're over 45, 50. And even then, they still get the itch to come back, So if Gib decides, he gets an itch and says, all right, you know what? I want to do this. Let me win the title. Those fights create a story to then create a super fight between KSI and a Misfits guy. I think then there's more interest. You've got to have someone who's really clearing everyone out. And Slim's done very well, but I still think there's at least 2-3 more influencers that Slim could fight and beat, and then bring that momentum into that fight.
Agreed.
Who does Slim fight next? Gibbs retired, right? So you have to take him off.
I'm working on it.
I'm just saying there isn't anyone. I actually like Slim KSI. I really do like it. And again, I don't think Slim has the ability on his own to promote, but the community itself, I think would blow that up.
Slim does have, if Slim brings consistency to his content creation, he's pretty good. Like, he's entertaining and he's a character. He's entertaining.
He's entertaining as a person, but I'm looking at his YouTube now. The numbers ain't saying much. So
Nothing.
his content must not be good, or people are not taken to him in that aspect.
I
Obviously,
think the consistency. Who's that guy who had 1 to 2 people watching him on stream for a year? Now he's blown up. Keem, you know who I'm talking about. I don't remember his name. Literally, he had like 2 people watching him for a year, and then he just suddenly blew up. But he would consistently upload he'd be on live every day, every single day.
That's so many people. I'm so lost right now. But
Um,
yeah, you got to grind. You got to absolutely grind. You know, as much as you're in there training to learn boxing, you still got to be training to blow up on social media. They go hand in hand.
100%.
Look at this situation right now, right? Slim and KSI may not happen because people doubt Slim's potential to promote a fight on this magnitude, right? So it's like, that's how important making content and building a fan base is. That's how important it is.
Yeah, Slim's done what,
Yes.
3 videos in the last 2 months. So, you know, that ain't the rate that he should be operating at.
Yeah, and guys, I really do. I've spoken to Slim, and he wants to get more consistent with his content. And if that happens and he can grow, I want him to be a huge pay-per-view star. I would
course.
love that to happen. He's 7-0. He's proven to us every time he's been doubted by anyone, he's overcome the odds. He's got a great story. So I'm on Team Slim in terms of his career budding and doing really well. I just don't want him to prematurely get into a situation which may not favor him and also may not favor KSI. Oh, gone from Tommy Fury to Slim. And again, I'm not putting Slim down, but he is smaller than KSI in terms of size as well. It's to me, it doesn't scream like I have to make this fight happen. People will go nuts for it. I don't feel like that's the reality yet. That can change though. That can change quickly.
Yeah.
If I could change gears for a second, speaking about Slim, his good friend Adam Sala has been called out once again by Fox the G. Is there any possibility of making Adam Sala and Fox the G? Because I think that's really interesting.
I'm gonna give Fox another fight, and then Adam Sala, I think, would make sense.
I think Joey Knight's interested in Adam Sala while we're on it.
This division, honestly, I feel sorry for a 135-pound influencer who just casually wants to get involved. You know,
It's a Shark Tank, isn't it, bro? I love it.
The 135 division is packing more power than the cruiserweight division, bridgerweight division, and heavyweight division.
Easily.
it is.
Oh, it's mental.
Yeah, 155 division is hotting up too, and I was struggling 6 months ago to even have 4 or 5 people in that division.
Yeah.
You know, well, it's getting the standards getting higher. What we have to make sure is the guys like the first timers, like the Bevos and Danny Aarons and people like that, they don't think that we're going to pair them up with someone who's had 6 fights. You know,
Oh yeah.
we're going to put them towards to fight people who, you know, it's a 50-50 chance or thereabouts, because there is a different level. And some of these guys have been doing it for a couple of years now. And as you know, you learn a lot in a quick space of time. So it's an interesting space. I've seen a lot of improvements all around. Let's finish off the card. Obviously, Ed Matthews, Pineda. The one thing I want to say is the way that Ed Matthews handled the loss is
That's funny.
textbook how you should handle a loss, because his stock has not gone down from this. His stock has gone up from this. I'm telling you, like the interest, the trends, watching how many people are engaging with him and excited to see him fight again because of the way he handled it.
That's very true.
That's how you do it.
And how he fought. Like he's a firefighter, right? He just goes straight for the kill. And people really, if you fight like that and you lose, people still want to watch you fight next time because it could go the other way.
Yeah. He's truly entertaining. He's absolutely entertaining. I mean, who has the mindset to go and lose a fight and then post to social media less than an hour after you lose the fight of you training and running and like smoking or whatever he was doing? I mean, that was brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant. And we need more people involved that, you know, have a concept of online entertainment, you know, of being an influencer.
Even the way the line he said about, when they said, well, get him falling out the ring, he went, I just wanted to ask the judges if I won the first round. I was loving
Yeah,
that.
look, we won that. But you know what it is? He's got a personality.
Yeah.
He is a persona. And
Well,
he's
yeah.
him.
And that
He's him.
It's
That's the
effort.
thing.
like
He's not being strategic
No,
necessarily.
he's not. He's not. He's not.
He got
I will
asked though, was the money worth the L? And he was like, yeah, it was. I never want to lose, but it was good money, so yeah, I can't complain.
Because he also learned from that you know what, I can't fuck about and just go in
Yeah.
and think I'm gonna knock someone out. So if with a proper camp, with the right team, I think he can be a problem and he can redeem his story very quickly. You know.
Yeah.
But
my thing with a guy like that, though, is that that's what he's supposed to be. I mean, he's a mad lad. He is like
Yeah.
Brian was saying, like he's a loose cannon. He's crazy. He goes in there, and when someone exists like that, yeah, sometimes they're gonna get a first round knockout, and then sometimes they're gonna get knocked out of the ring. But the thing is no one cares because that's what everyone thinks is gonna happen with a guy like that, and then it does, and he's just gonna come back for more. Like that's the whole point. Like that's why he's like
our
an hour later.
He's like our Vanderlei Silva.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's just nuts. So it's like perfect. Like exactly. And that's what makes Misfits so perfect is that we don't have to worry about a loss against Luis Pineda. Who cares? Literally, who cares? Okay. It was a fun fight. And then bam, he'll be back in a month. He can fight next event or in 2 events from now, whatever. And people are still going to be pumped about it because he's still going to bring it. And that's what they know. And that's what matters so much more than, if he has a freaking perfect record.
100%, and that's the key there. I don't think it's like, oh, you ruined Ed Matthews's. But he lost to Blueface. Okay, Blueface was a more trained boxer, and also his cardio went. Same thing that happened here. He just came in and smashed up Swarms quicker than any of us expected. So I think, I think he got lucky, not in terms of he doesn't have the skill to do that, but that if it's a 1-round fight, he's gonna do really well. But
yeah, there's nothing ruined with Ed Matthews at
No.
all. People are excited,
No.
and think about this. There's a beef brewing, and it's been brewing for some time. Ben Williams versus Ed Matthews. Both these guys truly understand social media and making content and being entertaining. That is a fight that is going to be absolutely nuts. The lead up to the fight is going to be entertaining. I'm really excited about that in the future. That's something that should happen.
Sick
I
fight.
think in the future for sure. I really want Ed to have a chance to actually really work on his cardio, be dedicated. And he said in that video, as much as he's joking around, this was a experience for me as a wake-up call to say, all right, you got to stop fucking about and actually fulfill my potential as a boxer. So yeah, I'm excited for that. All right, moving on to the rankings. Is that you guys all have a copy of it? The final one I sent.
Did we do the heavyweight fight?
The heavyweight fight.
Did we do that one? Chase Demore?
Yeah, Chase.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, you missed it, but anything to add to it? You're welcome. In summary, we said good on Chase. He still has potential to get a lot better, and he is improving. Minicon, love Minicon. I don't think he's progressed. He seems to have regressed a little bit. It was the general sense.
Okay, I agree. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, no probs. Yeah, any comments on the small from the small council about the current rankings, or forever hold your peace and we'll release them tomorrow?
Just quickly looking for it now.
Yeah, doing a quick review. Pineda making the top 10 pound for pound.
I think he's earned it.
Are these in the group chat, lads? Sorry.
Yes,
Yeah.
in the group chat.
You have to scroll up a couple days, I think.
Okay, cool.
It's actually confusing because based on you guys' notes, I did update them further down, the ones that are applicable, that needed changes.
Do you want to just verbally read them out and then we can talk about each category?
Okay, so pound for pound, we have number 10, Pineda, snuck in. He's had ever since. I mean, what a redemption arc! Ever since the KSI loss, he's come back. He beat B Dave. He had a win with the tag team, and then a draw with the tag team, and then he's just had another very credible win. So I think he's got momentum. He's got fan engagement is really, really good. Um, you know, he's kind of the silent superstar. And I don't know if you saw, he made a tweet as well that's gone pretty viral.
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
Wait there. Salt Pappy not in the top 10 pound for pound now.
It's difficult to justify it with 2 losses in a row, but
Yeah.
I think he can be right back in there very quickly. But you guys tell me how you feel about it and where you think he should sit.
It's tough him not being in that list, especially how those 2 losses played out.
He wasn't in the last list of rankings, so nothing's happened since then to justify him coming in.
You can't, yeah.
I mean, he lost to 2 champions. If I'm being like brutally honest, I think he's better than quite a lot of the guys in that list. But I understand the point of like I think he'd rip some of these guys apart. But I think given he's lost 2, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. No, I agree. I mean, he's definitely very talented. He's taken on tough fights, but he'll be back very soon.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
I think my issue with the list is if Slim is number 4, right underneath KSI Jake Paul, then who is up for KSI Jake Paul? Wouldn't it be Slim?
What do you mean?
Slim is number 4th on the list, right? So he's all the way at the top. He's all the way at the top. I can see why Slim thinks he's the challenger.
Well, he's not in the same weight category either.
Mm.
Slim is 165. JJ's last fight was 183. Yeah, it's cool that these guys fluctuate in weight so much, but it does make it difficult to make these rankings. I'll tell you.
I wonder if Slim went and fought at AT, if that would help his case. Like, if you fight a 175er, put a beat down on him, and I'm sure that'll be a very difficult fight. AT's tough guy, big time. That then helps his case, if he was to do that.
It does, but if Slim loses to AT, it also derails him, and I don't know. And then everyone's going to be like, "Oh, you fed Slim to AT's ruined Salt Pappy's run."
But isn't that AT's job though? AT is the gatekeeper, right?
Yep.
He's been the gatekeeper.
He is. That's true. He is the gatekeeper for a reason. It's because, again, no disrespect to AT, he's not good enough to be in the pros. He's not. And he's also too good for a lot of influencers. So you keep him there. If you beat AT, you've gone to the next level. He's like that dragon in level 9 before you go to the dragon. You know? Okay. The women's pound for pound, you got Michelle Hare at 10, Alexia, number 9, Tennessee, 8, Paige Keiki, 7, Alina Vampira, 6, AJ Bunker slips down to 5, Nikki Hiru at number 4, Barbie number 3, 2, Elle Brooke, so she's right back up there again, and number 1, Julie Podka.
I would love to see that Michelle or I don't know how you pronounce it, B in Misfits. I would love to see a fight with her in Misfits.
Me too. No, she was good. She brought it.
She was in Creator Clash. It was really, really impressive. I would love to see her in Misfits.
There's some good female fighters on Creator Clash. The girl she fought was really good too.
Right.
And then wasn't there a girl that plays the violin or the fiddle or yodels? The yodeling girl. She's pretty fun.
She is a brawler. That girl is a brawler. What was her name? Haley, I think.
Yodeling Haley, yeah.
Yeah, dude. She is super entertaining. Just goes for it.
Yeah, I've Keem, if you know her, reach out. I've DM'd her a couple times. She might have the wrong idea of why I'm DMing her or something.
Yeah, I'll talk to her.
All right, cool. Any improvements, any suggestions, anything we think before we go?
I think that's pretty accurate.
I'm happy with it.
Wait,
Yeah.
Astrid Wet gets completely removed off of Pound for Pound?
I think for right now we're deciding. I think she's suspended until she decides what she wants to do, because look, she's got one fight left in her contract. And if she's saying she doesn't want to fight, or if she's saying she wants to fight somewhere else or whatever, it's just a weird situation. And also, she violated her contract in like 19 different ways by saying what she did, and what she said was largely inaccurate.
So the position is she can't be in Pound for Pound because she's
Because,
technically can't fight right now.
well, I think she's suspended probably right now. You know, until we figure out what's going on here. Would you guys think she should still stay in the Pound for Pound?
She's suspended. If when they unsuspend her, she's gonna pop right back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she said she was leaving the organization, so why would she be in the
Yeah.
pound list? Like,
Well, look.
Well, there's a
Jake,
lot of people that are never even fought in Misfits and they're in the Pound for Pound. That's why I'm asking.
less and less, but there are. Yeah, I think the goal would be, it would be cool to do this as a Misfits rate rankings only at some point, and it's getting there. Actually, if you look at all the weight categories, it's 90%, 95% Misfits fighters at this point. But yeah, it still feels like that transition, we're not there yet. It still feels weird if we leave Jake Paul and Gibb and people like that out of the rankings. I know actually there's a revised rankings where Gibb and Logan, as you guys suggested, are taken out until further notice because they've retired. Yeah. But in terms of the shows, anything else we think, Keem, the sound, entertainment, stuff like
yes. Production. You know, I'm big on the entertainment aspect. Audio is not right, man. I'm getting feedback from a lot of people that were there when Pineda came out, like the place erupted, right? If you're watching the broadcast, you don't
it
know
did,
that.
no,
So
I
true.
don't know why.
Yeah.
I was there and the pop was great.
Yeah.
But when I watched it back, I was like, it sounded so lackluster, you know?
It did.
And
It did.
There's something wrong with audio that doesn't represent what's happening in real time. And I've even noticed, like, if you're watching any other pay-per-view and someone's coming out to their song or whatever, like you hear that song crisp. It's on a different audio track, right? And you really get in that moment. And with the Misfits events, for some reason, you're hearing it secondary off of, like, you know, the caster's mic with the music in the background, and it just doesn't translate, right?
So true.
That's-
So true.
This is a moment, right, where it's a build up to the fight. Where in about 3 minutes, we're going to see these two go to war, and that walkout is so important to every single fighter. They got to sell in that moment that they're scary, or that they don't give a fuck, or that they're a wild boy, whatever it is, and it's not translating to the people watching at home at all.
it's
I also
sorry,
go ahead.
before you go on to the next one, that is such an important point, because if you don't capture the heart of what's going on at when you're there live, it's such a missed opportunity to get engaged and engrossed into the spirit of it, you know?
Yeah. In Misfits, it's the ones where I was physically there, right? Because it does not translate when you're
Nashville.
watching at all. Yeah. Oh, Nashville's another thing. The Survivor tag in real time at Nashville was amazing. When I watched on the pay-per-view, it was okay. I liked it, but it didn't translate to what was happening there in the arena. Like, people were losing their mind at this thing. And you had a lot of locals there that were there just for some local pro boxers. So they had no idea anything about Misfit Stars or who these people were. And they were, I'm telling you guys, they were losing their mind in real time. Like, this is amazing. We need to see more of this. And it did not translate to the pay-per-view.
They've got to capture that. They have to. You're so onto something there.
Yeah.
I think it would honestly improve the quality of the viewing for the viewer to enjoy it. Because if you get goosebumps if you felt what we felt in the arena watching it at home, you know?
Yeah.
You're right.
So I think the production is on these Misfits events is like, you know, just to pass the grade. You're not getting an A, you're not getting A plus. It's just a pass, right? You know, we've seen some production that's been absolutely horrible, right? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it's not capturing the moment the right way.
Yeah, that's a great and fair point. What else were you going to say? That was
Me,
it.
I think that was it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
Anything else, guys?
oh, can I talk about walkouts? That's another thing I want to talk about.
Sure.
When they come out, I want to see them walk through the people. I want to see the people there. I want to see the fans there. We're not seeing enough of the fans. We're not seeing
Yeah,
enough of the excitement. Yeah.
at least a fan cam or something. We need to see the fans. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the way the UFC have a camera in front of the fighter as they're walking out, and you kind of see it from the fighter, like his point of view. I think making you feel like you're a part of the moment. Going back with what Keem said with the sound, as well as the camera angle, and just making the entrances feel a bit more exciting. It's almost like we're trying to minimize the excitement.
I know. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's very true.
Yeah.
But at least we have in-ring interviews. That was another thing that I had a big issue with. Finally, that seems to be fixed.
Yes, we got that. We got
God,
that.
how bad was that? Someone just wins a war and now we're going to all take a break. Everyone stop for like 2 minutes. Let's all take a break. Let's calm down. All right, now let's do an interview after the tired fighter walks all the way up this ramp, And it's at that point, I don't fucking care, bro.
I think we need to see them hitting pads or warming up or doing something, like to get everyone in the zone, to create suspense instead of them talking about nonsense.
What might be cool, I'm just spitballing here. Some of you might remember when Klitschko would come out the main event, you'd see him come out from the back and you'd see him come all the way from the locker room in, and then the music plays and everyone's in the arena and see him coming. Like if we're going to maybe do the main event entries, we can make them even a level up from the regular entrances, just as an idea,
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a segment done before the fight, which I really like. Maybe they could have been shorter, but Beal, who works for us, put it together with Ben Davis's voice, and he's got the best fucking voice for TV, incredible voice.
Yeah.
Where if you're a casual fan or someone who doesn't know every single character like we do, it was an intro to each character and them about them fighting. It was like a 1 minute intro that you'd watch. And I think that's so important because I remember watching UFC and before I knew who everyone was, it makes you more invested and be like, oh, this guy's cool. Or, I like what this guy stands for or whatever. So I think that was a really nice addition.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.